Then, hello everyone. This is
Hey there.
the first meeting of the year for the Tag Contributor Strategy Mentoring Working Group, and as such, it is an official meeting of the CNCF and is covered by our code of conduct, which is often paraphrased to be excellent to each other. Thank you all for coming, making the time today. Ali reached out to me, said he's not going to be able to make it today. Hopefully we catch him later on, maybe next month. Feel free to add yourself to the attendance. I've shared the HackMD. We've got a new HackMD doc for this year because I didn't want to. Once these documents get long, they get difficult to deal with. So. Yeah. So we have a light agenda. Today for LFX, today is candidate application day. This is the due date for applicants, for mentees to actually get their application in, and that'll kick off about a 2-week cycle for the mentors to make their selections. I think it's actually 2.5 weeks. So there's a good long time for folks to take a look at the applications that have come in. There's been a few, in terms of so we did a email, or not email, but we did a LinkedIn and Twitter and Mastodon blast yesterday just to get the last push for folks to get in.
Hold on. I'm going to stop you here, which is,
Yep.
they've changed the HackMD UI, and I literally cannot find where I can open it up in editing view.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm actually, that's it. So you bring up an interesting point. I've been asked to move off of HackMD generally, with no specific, okay, you must like it's not a dictate. But I would be happy to move this into something like Google Docs, if that's something.
Yeah. Okay. I found it out, and so this is really annoying, which is if you follow the sort of human readable link to the document,
Yeah.
you cannot get to editing view. You have to find their hexadecimal link, and use that link in order to get to editing view.
Okay. Well,
So I don't know what they were thinking, for that, but it's fairly broken.
Yeah, because like I just shared like
Yeah.
when I click the share button, that's what they give me. Okay, well, that's good to know. I'll update the but so the question is, do we want to make it? I mean, now would be the time to shift if we're going to shift. Is that something worth considering, or people have thoughts, preferences? Mostly, I find that the notes that we take, I put them into GitHub, and GitHub is the source of truth. Like if it doesn't go into GitHub, according to the CNCF, it doesn't really happen, right? So even if we did a Google Doc, I would wind up pushing that into GitHub anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
the main advantage to HackMD is obviously it's an easy cut and paste into GitHub as opposed to needing to run it through a transformation tool. Yeah, actually, I just realized I can't edit the new document at all.
oh, okay. Let's see.
So I think the problem is actually that you probably created the sharing link wrong.
Let me drop you I'll drop the link that I'm using to actually edit it. Let's try that.
Because every time I try to edit it, it sends me into the old document.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Here, so this should now be editing.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that works.
And everyone should be able to write on this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously Google Docs have their own issues. And I mean, the main reason why you don't see more HackMD through the CNCF is the actual HackMD IO site is actually hosted out of Taiwan.
Oh, interesting.
So for a lot of our Chinese contributors, if they access it, they get flagged.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
So And that's the reason why you don't see it. Somebody was running an internal instance because it's open source. Somebody's running an internal instance
Yeah.
in Kubernetes for a while, but it turned out to be a pain, and everybody's used to Google Docs anyway, despite its many failings.
Yeah.
So,
what I'm hearing is HackMD is a bit of a pain right now. We all have access to Google Docs. Google Docs, I don't think, has the same geographic sort of issues that I'm now hearing HackMD has.
yeah, I mean, like officially, contributors from the PRC can't access Google Docs either.
Oh,
like
enough.
Officially, it's blocked by the Great Firewall, but it's considered standard and normal practice that if you work for a big business employer, they have a VPN that has access to Google Docs.
Oh, okay. So okay.
So what I'm saying is, it's not, as I understand it, the Chinese security authorities don't see it the same. Whereas HackMD is this weird site that's hosted under Taiwan.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
well, I'm leaning towards.
yeah. So we might need to. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's. Yeah.
So what I could do is, and I do have access to the CNCF Google Drive for the Mentos reach for the tag contributor strategy folder. Okay, yeah, let's make sure we make it in there.
That would be a good spot for it, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
To ensure, so there's a big drive at the moment to get tags to move all their documents in that Google Drive, because we've already lost some documents in the past because people change jobs and access to documents disappear. And then something
that
else
sounds
that's
like as good a reason as any. If we're like I said, I've been asked to move off of HackMD sort of generally, and if you're hearing that we're trying to push to one specific place, then this would be ideal for that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then a nice tool that I discovered is, like, I haven't used in a while, that there is actually a plugin for Google Docs that converts directly to Markdown, which works quite nice.
I've been working on the CNCF / Foundation repo, putting some of the new code of conduct translations in, and I've been using that plugin to help with that work. So that's
nice.
Something I'm familiar with. So that works for me. Okay. Let's add that as a to-do. And again, if you can pick that up, Rian, that would be excellent. And then we can work together and update the calendar. And so this will be the last one that we do here, because we're here now. Might as well use it this one last time and then go from there. Where were we on the agenda? So we were still talking about LFX. That's in a good spot, I think. We've got something like 55 project proposals from CNCF projects. I think it's 27 projects represented, and I think 80 some odd, maybe 81 or 82 mentors participating, which is it's a good number. It's not a record for number of projects, but I think it is a record for number of mentors. I think that the application has been I think the number of applications from candidates has been good. I don't have an exact number on that, but I think that we're in a pretty good spot. So yeah. Moving on to Google Summer of Code, we've got our org application in. They had reached out to us. Normally we apply as an org without any proposals, and then we build in proposals as they go through their process, and then once we're accepted, we add yet more proposals, and then we ask for the number of slots that we want. This time we applied as an org, and Google reached out and said, "Hey, you've got no proposals here. Get some proposals in, please." And so we scrambled last week, and the community really stepped up, and we got about 10 or 12 proposals in, a few of them with ML AI bits. So that I'm cautiously optimistic. I think I'd be surprised if we weren't selected as an org, given our history, but we are also not an AI ML house. So I've got tempered expectations. We'll see. I'm hoping. I think that we've got some interesting projects for them, but we'll see. It is
Okay,
what it
so I guess the question is, you know, should we still be soliciting project proposals um, um, in various media?
At this point, I would, if we've got, like, if you hear about folks saying, hey, I've got this interesting application of AI in our cloud space, then yes, please. Otherwise, I think we're going to do another push in about a week or so, because anything that is proposed but declined is almost a 1-for-1 proposal for LFX in term 2. So I'm not at all concerned that people are wasting effort, because it's if it doesn't get it picked up for Google Summer Code, we can potentially pick it up for LFX term 2. So
yeah,
that's my take on it. So I'm happy to continue to reach out to folks. I don't think I've got anything specifically planned for outreach at this point, but I should look at the calendar and find out.
Yeah, no, just, you know, I'm about to send out last week in Kubernetes development. And I
Oh,
could put a line in there saying that we can still accept projects for the GSOC application.
that I would do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
To better. And I would just share the what is it, mentoring. Here, I'll drop the link in the chat here. Not mentors, programs, Summer Code. Yeah, any proposals can just go into this file here. Opening a PR against that. Can I, for just one moment here, I just need to, there's a timely message I'd like to respond to here. Sorry about that. I'm getting a lot of, because the
because
application.
the deadline is today, yes.
Yeah, so I'm getting.
Yeah, somebody pinged me over Slack asking me to extend the deadline for them, and I'm like,
Yeah, I got that.
that's not something I have any control over.
Well, and frankly,
nor honestly would I be inclined to. So
yeah,
the because what's the probability that somebody who can't apply by the deadline is going to be able to complete the project on time either?
yeah, no, I've had that same request, and I'm happy to be, like, sometimes stuff happens, so I'm happy to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I reached out to the but it's always a conversation. Like, I don't do anything unilaterally. And so that particular program is like, well, those particular measures we prefer not. And so I would say, well, I'm afraid we can't extend it. But I'm always happy to entertain the question. And again, depending on what the issue is, yeah, but it's one of those. In this case, the answer is no.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't make decisions on this, but. You know,
it's weird to me
if I was making decisions, there's basically only two circumstances I consider. One is if a mentor reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've already talked to this student and they're perfect for this particular project, etc. And
Yeah.
they have this issue. Can we get them some extra time?
Yeah.
The second thing is, hey, I'm a Palestinian refugee and I haven't been able to get, good internet access to finish this. Of course, one of the questions there becomes, are you going to have good internet access to work on the project?
Right. Yeah.
I
And
was
that's- and that's-
dealing with,
And those types of
Um,
examples are exactly why I'm always willing to entertain the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
Um,
again, I am weirded out that, not weirded out, that's a bad term. I'm
Mhm.
surprised that they reached out to you. I don't know why that would have.
my guess is that they saw that mentoring was under Tag CS and they saw me
Oh.
as one of the Tag CS chairs. That would be
Yeah.
my guess.
Ah.
Or, I've
Yeah.
advertised the beginning of the LFX season in a couple of Slack channels,
Right, that makes
and they
sense.
might have seen that as well. Hey, Jay, how are you?
Hey, good, thank you.
It's been a
Good to
while.
see you all.
Good to
It
see you.
has been a
Happy New Year.
while. Sorry I'm late. I had to completely change my surroundings. So I had to rush across town and jump into an office space. So
Well, welcome.
it'll be good to-
Glad you made it.
me too. How's everyone?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Doing well. We're at the fun point of the LFX. We've got the candidates rushing to get their applications in by 5 p.m. my time. And
Oh yeah.
as co-chair, I reserve the right to have things end on my time.
Yeah. Good, cool.
So
There's been some
yeah.
good interest or tentative interest so far.
I think so. I don't have a good sense of I've done some spot checks and it looks like we've got good numbers of candidates applying. We're nearly at a record. I think the record was 57 projects and we're at like 55 projects. But I think we do have a record for number of mentors participating this time. I think we got like
Amazing.
81 or 82 mentors, which makes me happy. And so, yeah. And we're just working through the process for Google Summer of Code. And actually, not that it's a part of the Google, not that we're taking care of it as a mentorship process. I just have to put my other hat on with my Tech Docs hat. The season of docs is also opening up. I think it's next week, the 22nd through April 2nd. So if you have projects that you're aware of who have problems that documentation can solve, let me know or let them know to let me know, because I can help them with proposals for season of docs as well. And I'm pointing mostly at you, Josh, because I think that you've probably got a better sense of our projects than maybe Jay does. But not to say.
Well,
that
yeah, but I mean, only like a couple of them. Like, for example, we could use a documentation intern again for etcd.
Yeah, it might be.
But the field will be fairly narrow, right? Because we have to find somebody who actually knew enough to know how to use etcd.
Yeah.
Right. Like we don't need to use for a documentation for a completely non-technical documentation intern. They just can't do
Right.
anything.
Yeah, that would be.
We need somebody, who can knows how to use or can figure out how to use etcd,
Yeah.
even in just sort of a dev on my desktop sense, so
That's-
that they can help us complete a bunch of pages.
And actually, Rian, that might be something. I'm looking at your Zoom name here, and it's CCC Attestation SIG. I'm like, wait, CCC might be interested in some documentation help as well. So if you have projects there, like I said, Google Summer Season of Docs, God, I can still to this day, I've been working here, 2 years, 3 years, still can't get it to every single time I get it wrong. But if you have problems that documentation can solve, that's what Season of Docs is about.
Yeah, we actually raised it in the meeting when you were there and had further discussion about it. And Sol is a very big driver of the security slams in CNCF, so is well aware about CNCF infrastructure. And so I'll give some news about where we're going with your feedback after you're done with all your stuff. I'll tell you where we're going.
So in terms of the agenda, that's me, that's it, unless there's something else somebody else wants to put on there. I had forgotten to put on there that I had done that meetup with you and that team, so you're welcome to,
Yeah, cool.
you're welcome to. And if there's anything else anybody wants to put on the agenda, it's as always.
Yeah, what I didn't want to drop Season of Docs. Is Kubernetes documentation aware?
Oh, I don't know.
Have they been
Absolutely.
reminded of the dates for Season of Docs?
I'll make a note to do that because I don't know that they have been. I'll make a point of that. Yeah.
Just because they're in better shape to accept sort of random interns. They have more structure than most projects do.
This is true. This is very, very true. Now, what is today? Tuesday the 13th. I'll drop that into the maintainers, SIGDocs maintainers, not the regular SIGDocs, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, I mean, the problem is that otherwise, like, I know plenty of projects whose documentation needs help, but you know, do they actually have a mentor for it? Is another question
That's
entirely.
always well, it's not a mentorship program, so it's not that they're looking for a mentor. Somebody, do they have
Really?
a manager for it?
But the thing is, you need a mentor or
It's
a guide or whatever you're going to call it anyway, right? Because
yeah,
if somebody knew how to meaningfully contribute to the docs of a project, I mean, I suppose there probably are projects out there where they do in fact have somebody who could be contributing more, but they're too busy looking for a job.
yeah.
But I think that
Well,
would be a fair rarity.
That's the thing. It's not, and this is like my opinion is that Season of Docs has a branding problem. They patterned it off of Summer of Code, but it is in no way a mentoring program. But with that naming structure, people think it's a mentoring program. But what it is it's an opportunity to put together a proposal and say, hey, we're having these documentation problems, or this problem that would be solved by documentation updates. Please help us find a seasoned technical writer to help with these problems. And they will go out, the Season of Docs program will work with the project to hire a writer for a period of time to help solve that problem. It's not that they're looking for young writers. It's not that they're looking to coach people up. They're looking for folks who are capable of stepping in and having an impact on the documentation. Like it's essentially like it's like a contracting. It's almost like a what do they call it when you go to a like a place and they help you staff your department? What's the name of those types? It's that type of program, not
like a recruitment agency almost.
Yeah, it's almost like that.
Right. How successful are they at these days? Because my experience doing this for my day job is that the supply of freelance doc writers is pretty much disappeared.
It's slim pickings. Yeah, it's this is actually part of the reason where we actually have now like Tech Docs Writing 101 as like free training. Like we got 101 and 102 over on the Linux Foundation training, because we're trying to train up younger writers. And this is part of the reason that we're doing Tech Docs Con as well, is because we're trying to raise sort of awareness and have more of a discussion around writing in open source. But you're absolutely right. It's slim pickings. The last two projects last year, was it Flux, I think, and like Wasm Edge probably. Don't quote me on that. As far as I know, they were successful projects. So and they're doing it again. So like even though Google has been making noises about slowing up things like Google Summer of Code, they're still funding Season of Docs. So that I think is a good sign. Okay.
The speaking of both Summer of Code and Season of Docs, is Kubeflow in there anywhere?
Kubeflow. I haven't put together the TOC yet here yet. So
yeah, I'm not seeing it in Summer of Code.
Kubeflow is in there. No, we've got Cube Armor, Cube Builder, Kubernetes.
Right. Well, that would be a project to bug because it's obviously AI related. And it's also a project, the
Are they in?
plurality of whose maintainers work for Google.
That's an
So-
interesting point, because we've got Kate's GPT in on the LFX side. And I almost wish that they would have done Kate's GPT for Google Summer of Code, but I'm happy for them to come in on LFX side as well,
Mhm.
because they're just in the sandbox, right? But if Kubeflow, I can bug them. Yeah, let's maybe reach out to them. That's a good idea. I think I did reach out to them for LFX, but I should ping them specifically for
Mhm.
GSOC. Do we know
Um,
anybody? Do you have anyone I should reach out to specifically?
well, I'm
If
sure I
not,
know
that's
people.
fine. I can.
Yeah,
think.
I mean, not off the top of my head. I'm sure
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
people who work on Kubeflow, but I'd need to actually look.
Yeah, that's
The,
fine.
So,
All right, so is that LFX and GSOC talked about?
I just have a quick question about that. When you're sort of saying before around the need for a seasoned technical writer, and I think Josh, you were saying before about perhaps an intern around the etcd and all that. Is there a ballpark sort of indicator in terms of how much experience someone would need? Because Rian, I'm just thinking of Abby and the work that she's been doing with etcd and James for the past few months.
So there's
I mean, honestly, like one of the documents that we need somebody to write, for example, is, how do I install etcd as an application on top running on a Kubernetes cluster? So
Obvious.
Yeah.
it's like, it's not, it doesn't require any knowledge of internals or anything else. It just requires being able to go through some of the stuff as a user.
And there's two sort of things about that might be interesting. I think first off, we're just finishing up a tech docs analysis for etcd, making sure that we've got a roadmap of how to make the changes for etcd, and we were designing that. So we've already opened up the umbrella issue and opened up a assignment issue, but we are opening up more. And the goal for that is each individual piece of issue, like writing assignment, should be about 4 hours of work for somebody who's got context about etcd. So that's the goal. And we're probably going to open up, I would say, probably 10 or 15 of those, right? Now, if we can turn that into a proposal, give that to Google Summer of Code, and then I don't know, I have to be careful because I don't want to, like if we do this, we always have to be, what I would say is enter into these things with like goodwill in mind, right? Like if you know somebody and you want to hire them for the LFX program, I won't say don't hire the person you know, but review everyone in good faith, right? But I think that if we know somebody who could do that writing, right? I think that we could potentially work with Google Summer of Season of Docs to hire that person potentially. I don't know exactly how that works. I've never been on the hiring side of that, so I don't know what guardrails we'd have to put up there, but that might be an interesting idea. Let me grab the umbrella issue just so you've got some context there, Jay.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
What do you think of that, Josh? Is that something that?
Yeah, sure. The one caveat, and one of the reasons that we didn't, so when does Season of Docs start and end?
Well, we've got the application starts the 22nd of February and ends on April 2nd. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head when the actual.
Right, just because, I mean, like the reason why we haven't pushed on etcd for, you know, coding LFX, or Google Summer Code stuff is mentor availability. As
Right.
in
Well, it's
most
not-
of our maintainers have situations where they're
Oh.
just not very available
Yeah.
until June. The
It's an announcement here. I'll drop the announcement in the.
so
But that's the thing. Like I'm hoping to be more.
yeah,
Like yeah. So there's our issue and or sorry our umbrella issue and the season of docs
okay,
announcement, which has some of the dates in there. So it looks like April 10th, Google publishes all the list of accepted organizations along with their proposals and doc
Okay.
can begin.
okay. So the timing for the actual documentation project
Actually pretty
is
good.
fine.
Yeah.
The the catch would be I would need you or someone else to take the lead in
Yeah.
actually picking out and hiring somebody. Just because I've got KubeCon and then I've actually got a couple weeks of PTO after KubeCon.
And that's where I want to be careful because I would have, because I already know Abby, I want
Right.
to make sure that there isn't a conflict there in my being the one making the proposal and knowing
Yeah.
the person.
So would Abby be
Yeah.
qualified to be a writer in this program?
We would have to find out.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if we pushed it, like if we said to maybe Ali could run that piece. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm always very careful about the.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, we could set up James and Sadev as interviewers.
That's true too.
If
Yeah,
we can get a hold of Sadev.
that would work.
Or James and Wei Zhen.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just the one problem is that my availability timing would be poor for the actual hiring discussions.
Yeah.
I would be fine for the actual program of writing stuff.
Yeah.
And at that point, the CNCF tech person will have created issues for all the pages that we really ought to have and don't have. So we would have a sort of feed of things that needed to be done. You know, and then the other part of it, you know, would be things like, hey, we need a document on how to scale out etcd for Kubernetes. And obviously this writer couldn't write that, but what they would do is they would take it and say, hey, you know, Han, can you just write a bunch of notes on this?
Yeah.
Because we're about to have a lot of that stuff. We're about to have a lot of stub pages.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. Like part of, I was going to ask Randy Abernathy and his RMX folk to take a look at. They're already looking at like Intodo, the Intodo umbrella issue. So this might be something that his team might want to look at just because they're into etcd fairly heavily anyway. So they may jump in on this in fairly short order, which if they do, doesn't leave a whole lot of work for the Google Summer of Docs folks.
Okay.
But that being said, there could, excuse me. Sorry. There could be enough to have both, to be honest. I think the docs need work. But let's look into both. Let's look into it and see what we can do. I'll also talk with my boss and see if there is actually a conflict there. And if there's not, then so much the better. I just am sensitive about it, so
Okay.
So I will add that to my list of stuff.
Yeah, fully appreciate if it won't work. I just thought I'd inquire while
Oh, yeah, no, the timing is right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and we know Abby too. Like she's like, I'm familiar with her work, so I'd be, like, I think that's a good suggestion. I just want to make sure that we can do what we're suggesting we're,
Of course,
doing.
100%.
Um, mm. Thank you, by the way, for humoring me on a season of docs discussion in a mentoring working group.
I mean, why would it not be in the mentoring working group?
It isn't anymore because it's not a mentoring program.
Oh,
So
you're right.
That's
You're right. Okay.
yeah.
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah. Historically, we've treated it as if it were, but it isn't. And so this is why I'm saying we're like, for me, I just have to take off one hat and put on the other. I mean, it all still goes through me in terms of like how we're supporting it. We're still supporting it as the CNCF. And to be like an org, the only thing the org does really is manage the payment. We actually do even less than we do on the Google Summer of Code side. So it's a fairly easy win for CNCF if we want to participate. So, question about Outreachy. Does anybody have a sense of the timelines about Outreachy, and whether or not we want to participate this year, or if there's anybody making noises about participating that we don't know about?
Yeah. I haven't heard anybody. I mean, like if anybody's going to do it for Kubernetes, it's going to be organized by me. And nobody said anything. Um, the and because of my travel timing, I can't
Yeah.
I can't deal with the May term,
Okay.
because too much of the work has to be done in March and April, which is just not going to be possible for me this
Yeah,
year.
right now.
So yeah, so like for Outreach for Kubernetes, I was looking at the fall term.
Yeah. You were also talking about potentially recruiting somebody to help with the outreach work. Is that something that's
Oh
happening?
yeah, no, totally. But the recruiting somebody to help with it is going to be a big
That's
deal.
the work that, okay.
Yeah. And it's possible that I'll run into somebody who's self-propelled. But I have a feeling that if that person was out there, they would have already spoken up.
Okay.
And so instead, I'm going to need to recruit somebody who's enthusiastic about diversity and mentorship and need to actually help them with all of the practicalities. The other issue is, of course, that Outreachy is not self-funded.
That's
So organizing the money is also part of that.
Yeah.
And I am not optimistic enough to believe that anyone other than me is going to do that.
I think that, well, unless historically we've had funding for one or two projects.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Because the CNCF would have to do the funding on that.
Right.
And it's trended towards one, not two. So we can make an argument for two, but it's going to have to be
Okay.
Something about that. Yeah. Can I make a suggestion, Jay? Are you able to help Josh with some of that recruiting? Because I think you might know some folks who are in that sort of space that might be interested in helping to administer that.
Okay.
But again, with the
Yeah, I mean, we really just want to wait. Let's wait, and we'll tackle this during the summer, targeting the fall term, which is the summer term in New Zealand. So,
right.
Cool.
So even better for mentees who are in the Southern Hemisphere.
Okay.
Although Outreachy is not by any means limited to students.
No, not at all.
As a matter of fact, the Outreachy mentees that I've worked with who have been the most successful in terms of both their project and becoming ongoing contributors thereafter have been people who have been older adults who are having career changes.
Even better.
Yeah.
Better.
So-
what time frame was that roughly?
So the term begins in, they don't have a full list of dates. The term begins in December.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That's fine.
But prep for it would start in July.
Okay,
That
no,
sounds good
that's
to me. I should
that's
reach out to the
perfect.
hotel folks and see if they're actually, because they just,
Yeah.
they just, like, they don't even talk about, they're
Yeah.
like, yeah. Here's the, timeline for May to August, and then, so yeah, like, we're already well into the program for the May to August term.
Yeah. No, and once I looked at my schedule for the spring, I was like, can't do it. But
Fair.
my travel schedule for the second half of the year is relatively light.
Cool.
And since the idea is that for most projects I would be the administrator but not a mentor, most of my work would be done by the time the internship starts. So the
Yeah. It looks like hotel is not in this year or this term anyway, so that's something I'll have to follow up with them on.
Yeah.
Okay, something to look for. Something to look forward to. So. Okay, so I think that's then LFX,
Yeah.
GSOC and Outreachy, and a good helping of GSOD. Rian, what have you got?
All right. Some feedback. Nate was graciously visiting the CCC last week, I think, to tell them more about mentoring and how mentoring works in the CNCF. So it looked like we're going to adopt roughly the same approach the CNCF is doing, having a mentoring repo or a mentoring folder at least, where PRs can be made. So Sol's going to go out and canvas the projects. At the moment, we've got 10 active projects. I think 3 or 4 in graduate and the rest in incubate. So canvassing the project, looking for mentors, looking for opportunities for a project. And it's because I had a bit of a pool system. So somebody pitch up and say, I want to be a mentee. And then they try to find work for the person that matched the person, which really didn't work extremely well. So I explained to them the CNCF and the LFX method of basically it's almost a job interview. You advertise the position, you advertise the skill set, look for people, match the skill set. So they're going to take that approach. Then also we're going to create like you're doing an overhead account that is the administrative account on LFX that can be shared around. And the idea is to not run it for them, but have their own Nate developed inside. You met Yash that was in the meeting. So he's keen to do it.
Cool.
So we're going to run the first cycle for him, go through all the pains, write it all up as we experience it, and let him run the second cycle. So that's
ideal. Like, I mean, like we were blessed to have Jay, and now with Ali, having community members come in and help with the administration, I think is what makes the program work, to be honest. I think the more you can get community members involved, I think the better off you're going to wind up over there in CCC.
Exactly.
Getting it stood up obviously is the tricky part in getting all those processes in place, but yeah, no, it sounds like you're off to a flying start, and I'm happy to spend more time if you've got other questions or comments or concerns, or even just need help with the LFX platform. I'm happy to.
Yes, probably by the time we get to LFX, I'm probably going to reach out, but for the moment we are building the administrative blocks to get the projects, and then Sol needs to go canvas the project. Just to clarify, you don't have to follow the terms of LFX directly. You're going to have your own cycle in between. That's kind of what I understood from.
What do you mean by terms?
Do you have to follow the 3 terms a year, or can we start in the middle, middle of March if we want to?
No. That's all.
That's the way I got it. It's got to be 12 weeks, but you can start anywhere.
Yeah, we're doing it like a 12-week program 3 times a year. I think Hyperledger runs it once I know the kernel, I think, runs it once. And so, yeah, you can run it twice a year if you want. You can run it 3 times a year. We considered even running it 4 times a year, and then I regained my senses. So yeah, I would the way I would make that decision, if it were mine to make now, it wasn't like I inherited this in this state. I would reach out to your projects and see what the interest level is, and to see if you could support more than one term. Because that might be the thing too. If you've got a lot of projects like the CNCF, you've got more to draw on. But if you've only got like 15 projects, I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out there, you may only be able to support one term. And even the length of the term, that's something that we have picked basically arbitrarily. And one of the things that I really liked about one of the changes that they made for Google Summer of Code, I think it was last year, was different sized projects. They had medium, small, medium, and large, which is like 90 hours, 100 hours, and like 135 hours. I can't remember the numbers. I'm just making up the numbers, but it was like it was dependent on how much interest. And so if you have a project that says, hey, you know what, we've got some work, but it's not a 12-week project, it's a 24-week project, that's definitely something that you can play with.
Yeah, because the CC is still in its very infancy around projects, and many of the projects are not extremely busy. So we actually need to go canvas the projects individually and say, this is what we're going to do. This is kind of how we're going to work. We're going to manage the administration. You just have to provide the mentor and tell us what the project's going to be. So I like what I hear. So we can make it shorter, which is probably more likely the case, shorter than longer.
Yeah.
And then we can. So what I was thinking is, because you're not required to have a specific term, we kind of going to kick off as we get them, pick them off one by one, and properly. I aim, if we have 3 for the year, I'm happy.
That's actually something I meant to bring up, is Ali and I are doing, see you later, Jay. Thank you so much for coming by. Talk to you soon.
Cool, great to see you all. Talk soon.
Yeah. One of the things that Ali and I are doing now is information sessions. So we're planning for each LFX term 3 sets of info sessions. The first one before like it's just a pure information system. Anybody who's interested in the program can come by, see what it's about, right? That's before we even start canvassing the mentors or the projects. The second one is for the mentors we've accepted. Once we've accepted everybody, then we have an information system, or why do I keep saying information system session for the mentors. What can they expect? What like, what are the deadlines? How does the LFX platform work? How do they make selections? How do they just, do they have any questions? Whatever it is, that's where I share like the WASM Edge, like here's how we do testing and stuff like that. So we have a conversation. And then the third one is after the mentees have been selected, I want to have a big giant party with everybody, mentors, mentees, and it's like, hello mentees, welcome to the community. Here's what you can expect over the next 12 weeks. Here's where you can, if you've got questions or concerns or comments, here's your community, here's where you can talk to folk, so on and so forth. So and because Ali is in Turkey, we can do one for Pacific time, and then we can do one that is ECMA and APAC friendly. So it's like 3 o'clock in the morning for me, but it's perfect for half the globe. And so we've been doing, we did that now with the mentors. We missed it for the first one but we'll also likely do something like that for Google Summer of Code, just to make sure that everybody is sort of on the same page and understanding what's going on. So I'm going to, as administrators, I'm going to be a little bit more activist this year than I was last year. I can send emails till I'm blue in the face, but if I'm actually there and talking with folks, I find that they're more amenable to, and they're recorded as well, so we can then like post them to the to the news letters and such, and say, here's
Which,
yeah.
which also help other programs if they want to go watch the video. So, oh, that's the way they did it.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks
So-
for helping, and we'll let you know how it rolls.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. Like I said, I want to do what we're doing across the LF. So I'm happy, the more the merrier.
Well,
Exactly.
so there's been a whole bunch of work done on other parts of the Linux Foundation platform. Is anyone assigned to LFX mentorships at all?
So we just had our all hands a couple of weeks ago, and I've been hearing, and none of this is official yet. So I mean, I know we're on record here, but I've been hearing more positive news.
Whoa, wait, hold on. Here we go.
Sorry.